Jane Addams by Elizabeth Eastland. Build a bridge between those things which we desire and those things which are impossible. Jane Addams, a true bridge builder. Jane Addams was a reformer, a believer, a pacifist, a feminist, a visionary. She worked her entire life for social justice. She created Hull House, and she was a Nobel Prize winner. She imagined new possibilities while also seeing how life really was. She believed in free and vigorous thinking, which she said would liberate new sources of human energy. Jane Addams was born in Cedarville, Illinois on September 6, 1860. Her mother died when she was just 2 years old, and her father began her guiding light and influence. Her father, John Addams, was a banker and state legislator. He encouraged Jane to read challenging books and helped to develop her mind when many people thought women were inferior to men. Books were Jane's passion throughout her entire life. Jane's father treated her as an equal. He was also a reformer and believed the government should be used for good and to protect the vulnerable and strengthen the economic infrastructure. Like her father, Jane would continue throughout her lifetime to try to help fix the world. In 1877, Jane attended college. Only 1% of American women graduated from college. After college, it was expected that the Addams children would travel around Europe to be educated in worldly events. However, shortly after her graduation, her father passed away, which was devastating to Jane. She believed he was the only one to believe in her, and now he was gone. Until 1889, Jane traveled around Europe, entered into medical school for a brief period of time, and continued to help people less fortunate than her. She was continuing to yearn for more, but was never sure what exactly that was until she read about Toynbee Hall. After traveling in Europe, she read an article. Toynbee Hall was established by Samuel Barnett, an Anglican clergyman. Addams was so intrigued by this London's East End Hall that she decided to visit it. The creator of Toynbee Hall, Barnett, invited a group of educated young male university graduates to live there. He wanted the men to befriend the neighborhood and provide the neighbors with educational opportunities. Toynbee Hall became Jane's vision for America, but instead of having men working with the neighbors, she was going to have women, which then created, in Chicago, the Hull House Settlement House. It was started by Jane Addams and her friend, Ellen Gates Starr. Jane used money from her inheritance from her father to start Hull House. The reason why Chicago was established as the first settlement house was Chicago was nearly wiped out by the Great Fire of 1871. Chicago then had started to reestablish itself with many railroad, warehouses, factories. It was a city, though, with many needs. Chicago was wrought with a division of classes, the wealthy and the very poor. There were people from all different cultures. Addams would ask people to volunteer at Hull House. She wanted educated young people to pay rent and board to live in the settlement house for a period of time. but they would have to agree to form social ties with the neighborhood. Hull House had many activities for the community. They provided kindergarten, women activities, they helped families in crisis, they had art activities, a reading club, and later on would provide extension courses. Hull House, when they had began offering those college extension courses, provided those because Addams knew education was the key to a better life. This was a way to give immigrant workers access to higher education. Hull House had people from all different backgrounds, cultures, and a place where the wealthy and the poor could be together. Addams was a pragmatist. She believed that people form ideas based on their experiences. She did not believe in black and white thinking, but reflecting on a person's real life ideas. Addams believed in the Declaration of Independence, the United States, and the Constitution. Addams was also part of the progressive movement. She wanted to expand public health, family services, housing, and child labor. She wanted free speech for everyone and civil rights for everyone. She defended the rights of union and wanted to improve factory conditions. She wanted to limit women's working hours. As a progressive, Addams had enormous respect for motherhood, but Addams never suggested that that was the only place for a woman in the home. She thought society could learn from women, that they not only could shape the family but also society. The progressives believed that when conditions improve, it benefits all Americans. Jane Addams wrote a book, Democracy and Social Ethics, in 1902. The book believed in human dignity and it should be valued as a way of living. The book conveyed that no matter who you are, a charity visitor and a client, an employer and a factory worker, that more democratic approaches should be taken in these situations and not looked upon as a hierarchy. Addams was always looking for people to have mutual understanding of one another, especially in a democratic society. She also valued children's rights, and Hull House became the place for the first juvenile court in American history. Addams told the juveniles that they could turn themselves around, and many of the juveniles did because they did not want to disappoint Addams. Addams fought for the rights of children. She thought having children work so young in factories was not right for children. She said it damaged their minds and spirits. Addams said entering the workforce so young costs society. This causes lower wages, people to be illiterate. Jane Addams was also involved in politics. Theodore Roosevelt lost the election of 1912, but Woodrow Wilson also had a reformed mind. As World War I began, Addams emerged with an international effort to stop the war. Her pacifism during the war labeled her disloyal. Many people thought she was a communist. The United States Secretary of War John Weeks launched a public campaign against prominent women organizations and their leaders to ruin their reputations, and Jane Addams was one of those people. He developed the spiderweb chart, which labeled people communist. It displayed progressive women linked to communism, and those that were enthralled in international peace and justice were on the top of that list. Addams was part of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. Addams would publicly say that war is not a natural activity for mankind. Addams in 1931 was the first woman from the United States to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. She had been nominated for the Peace Prize since 1916 and annually since 1928. Addams, when she won the Nobel Peace Prize, donated most of her $16,000 to the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. Addams believed that moral excellence was finding the right balance among individual, family, and social morality. Addams believed that we should not only be with our own family, but be with everyone as a family and help everyone. Jane Addams died May 2nd, 1935, at the age of 74. She was recognized as an outstanding patriot. Emily Green Balch praised Addams. Her love of life as it is, not only as it might be. Jane Addams' passion was making things better, and in her own words, nothing could be worse than the fear that one had given up too soon and left one expended effort that might have saved the world. Jane Addams, throughout her lifetime, continually tried to save the world and bring it together.